It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Well, folks, 2,000 of our men and women are missing today from the Vietnam War. I know it's a while ago. In fact, 1972 is when the war ended in Vietnam. For those of you who remember it, it was just a sad thing. However, a lot of men and a lot of our families suffered dearly from that war and are continuing to suffer because there are missing in action and there's prisoner of wars that sometimes we forget about. As I've said many times, when I meet someone who is a Vietnam, any veteran for that matter, hats off to them, folks. And I'm very honored today, and I mean that sincerely. I'm honored to have 3 Vietnam veterans here from the Schuylkill County. We have Guy Wiederhold, who is a Vietnam veteran commander for Post 29. We have Carl Booney Sterner, who is the field POW-MIA representative, and I'm John Beliza, who is the commander of Schuylkill County, Schuylkill Haven Legion, along with many other titles that he carries. Gentlemen, first of all, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome. As I said to you, Guy, when I interviewed you down when we did the pre-cruise show, you know, it's an honor really, to talk to you guys and talk about what we're trying to represent. I know there's a great thing coming up in Schuylkill County, Schuylkill Haven, I think the 22nd. Yes. The memorial, we'll talk a little bit about that. And a little bit later on the show, I have a great CD, an album put together by Janet Enders. Folks, it is "Thank You Is Not Enough." When you hear the song, we're going to also pay tribute at the end to some of our fallen men. And also, I understand there's one person from Schuylkill County, and you were saying his name is Tipping.
Henry Tipping.
Henry Tipping, who'll be like 90-some years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me ask you this, okay? For just to refresh our memory, Guy, with Vietnam, okay, where were you? How old were you? What happened when you were called into service?
Well, I received a letter that we all received reading, "Your friends and neighbors have chosen you to represent our country in '67, and I was in the service from '67 to '70. '68, '69, I was in Vietnam, and I was a medic while I was in Vietnam.
And at the time, what were your thoughts about the Vietnam War?
Well, in all honesty, Sam, when we got over there, we had a job to do. My job as a medic was to make sure that the guys were safe and anything we could do to help them. We did not know about all the turbulence and all that was going on until we came home.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure as a medic, you know, there are memories that you'll never forget, okay, and they'll go to the grave with you, okay? But the war itself, you know, I know that there's, like we say, close to 2,000 people who are missing or POWs, 91 still from Pennsylvania, correct?
Correct.
You came back, all right, and I'll just ask you this, Guy. You came back from Vietnam. What was it like when you came back? You were a young person at the time.
Well, I landed in Fort Lewis, Washington. And at the time, they gave us a new uniform with all our medals and ribbons, and they put us on a bus and took us to the airport. When we got to the airport, we were greeted not very kindly by our fellow Americans. In fact, they threw eggs, tomatoes, and all kinds of stuff on us. And we boarded the plane, and I'll tell you, I'll never forget it. It was American Airlines. I'm sorry, United Airlines. And the stewardesses were there, and they asked us to take our jackets off. We had, the jackets. And somehow, when we landed, they had them cleaned, because we were covered with all kinds of stuff. That was my first impression of what was going on about the Vietnam War.
Now, I can't even fathom that, because when I've heard that of some of my friends, in fact, some live in the area I live in, who experienced that. I just can imagine, especially those families that lost their loved ones over there who went out to fight for our country. What do you think was the reason, that happened, Guy?
Well, in all honesty, I think it was a situation where instead of the war, they took it out on the warrior. They were angry at the war, and we were the visible signs of the war, the warriors.
Did you find that no matter where you went, that they were anti?
No, here's where it gets different. Once we got back to Schuylkill County, once my parents picked me up in Philadelphia and we got back to Schuylkill County, my neighbors had a flag flying on their porch. They were there to say, "Thank you for what you did, welcome home." And Schuylkill County is a veterans county. Anything veterans need and want, that county provides. Living proof is our memorial.
Booney,
Yes.
you're quite a character, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I try to be.
And I say that out of respect. You're the field POW-MIA representative, and when people have causes, and you've seen those causes, and you've been there. What was your experience in Vietnam, first of all?
Well, where I was stationed in an in-country R&R center, so I had it really good. I can't complain. It was for when the troops got out of the field, they spent a week where I was at. So where I was in ration breakdown, so I helped feed them and stuff like that. So my duty wasn't bad at all. It wasn't. I can't complain about my duty.
But you've seen some horrors.
Not real, not me. I didn't.
So you were out of the
I was
war.
more in the limelight of the,
Well, you're very active with the POW-MIA.
Yeah, well, it happened to be that I got thrown into it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the guy who was in charge is this guy named Jerry Dixon, and he ran it for 2 years, and then he moved out of the area, so they needed another one, so they threw me into
How
it.
old were you when you were enlisted?
When I enlisted, I was 19.
Did you enlist or
I enlisted.
you
I put in for NOM.
Good for you. And you put in for NOM.
I put in for NOM.
Well,
Because I figured I was going to go there anyway, so I might have put in for it. Figured maybe I wouldn't get it.
so viewers watching the show, veterans watching the show, you don't have to tell the veterans, they've been through it, okay, and I just can imagine how you felt when you came home, the sad stories. But what do what is your cause right now with the MIAs and POWs? What is it that you would like the community or our viewers to do?
Well, our cause is still the same. We want all accountability of everybody is what we want. We want to make sure they all get home so the families can put them to rest. And we just keep fighting until we get it done. And as they say, leave no man behind, and that's what we keep doing. Keep fighting to get them back.
So what do you think? I know here there was, in this particular news release I was reading, it says that you should, call your representatives, call Washington, and ask for accountability of all Americans. Is this the what we're still trying to do?
We still have people over there looking for them. Right now they're doing more for Korea. They're looking more for the Koreans right now. But they still have two teams working both ends. So.
And John Beliza.
Yes.
How are you, John? You doing all right?
Yep.
That's good. John, how old were you when you were, did you enlist or were you enlisted?
Well, what happened was I went to Penn State. I had college. And when I actually got out of college, it was November 23rd, 1963. I got my draft notice. That was the day after Kennedy got killed. And I went to the recruiters, and they told me that for me to possibly not go to Vietnam, which it was starting to escalate at that time. And so I went to a communications. I had a lot of communications repair, stuff like that. And I went there, but I ended up down at Fort Bragg with the 82nd Airborne. So I ended up over in Vietnam. I wasn't with the 82nd over there. When I got over there, I was with STRATCOM unit, Strategic Communications Command. And I had to go out like once a month on a convoy to either replace or repair communications out in the field. And about the only things that I witnessed was I was near one of the big airports at Nha Trang. And they used to send mortar in, the enemy used to send mortar in from the mountains up every now and then. But all they were trying to do was just hit like some of the helicopters on the pads and stuff like that.
And I'm sure you have some interesting stories to tell.
Not many. Just a couple times when we were out on convoy, there was a sniper fire or something like that, but they would fire at the actual machinery.
Folks, if you just tuned in, I'm speaking to three Vietnam veterans, Guy Wiederhold, and Carl Booney Sterner, and John Beliza. Beliza, I said that right correctly. And we come back, we're going to talk about a couple other things about the Vietnam POW MIAs, but also keeping in mind, folks, most importantly, September 22nd, they're having the memorial service, correct?
7 o'clock at night, yes.
7 o'clock at night in Schuylkill Haven, right?
Right, at our memorial. It's in front of Penn State on Route 61.
And we'd like to certainly, if anything, show up that day and show them support, folks. We'll be back. We'll be talking a little bit more about this, but towards the end of the show, we have this great CD. We're going to play it for you, and you're going to, I don't think there'll be a dry eye with our viewers. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Remember, 24/7 SSPTV.com. My email is sam@ssptv.com. Certainly welcome any of your comments as well as criticism, constructive criticisms. My guest today, Vietnam veterans. In 1972, folks, the war ended, but we all recall, those of us who remember, what happened. And for those who don't remember, it's a good lesson for us to know that there are many, many people who were out there fighting for our country. Not fighting, for any specific, they were fighting for America. And fortunately, unfortunately, when they came back, we did not, some Americans did not treat them with respect, which was very sad. But we want to move forward and positive, and because of that, these three gentlemen that I have on the show are promoting the MIAs, POWs. They're promoting the memorial, Vietnam Memorial, plus they also have other activities that they involve with. My guest, Guy Wiederhold, who is the Vietnam Veterans Commander of Post 29, Carl Booney Sterner, who is the field POW-MIA representative, and John Buliza, who is the commander of Schuylkill Haven Legion. Guy, getting back to, you saw action, yes? Or
yes,
no?
sir.
You actually saw action. So now, so people, when you were there, and I have a lot of friends and we've had these conversations, okay, and they tell you stories that just were, what kind of attitude, what was your sense when you were there and you were in the combat?
Well, again, we were sent over to do a job, and Sam, in our minds, we were doing our job. Whatever had to be done to try and keep the freedom for the Vietnamese people. And basically, when you're doing your job, you're involved in your job, and it may sound crazy, but you don't have time to think of what other than what you're doing.
All right, after the fact now, okay, when you look back and you reminisce or whatever, and you talk to your friends and you're at the Legion, and what are your thoughts about the Vietnam War?
Well, there's two things that really bother me. One is when I hear people say it's the only war we never won. Well, that's because we were never allowed to fight it. And secondly is when they start downgrading Vietnam veterans. Vietnam veterans did exactly what they were ordered to, what they were supposed to do, and as a result, they did their job.
And that's the thing that just I can't understand, Guy, when people talk that way about the Vietnam veterans. I just can't understand it, because if you lost a loved one there, you know the hurt, and we have the MIAs, and we'll be honoring some of those people at the end of the show. Booney, how do you react when you hear things like that?
I really can't express it. I get emotional because one of those guys in that book is one of my buddies. We went to school together. We went into service together. We were on a 120-day program together. We went in the buddy system. We got split up, and he went one way and I went the other one. And then when I left Nam, he went back to Nam, and he stepped on a mine over there, and
That was it.
that was it.
And here is a young guy, probably had his whole life to live, and he's
yes,
out,
he did.
he's
Yes, he
fighting
did.
for his country. John, how do you feel about that? About when you look back on the Vietnam?
Yeah. Well, the whole thing was, I was well over there. I was extended over there for a while on account of my MOS, my communications repair. But as far as for, like Guy said, we won every combat. We won it. We didn't lose it. The only thing was they told us to get in, when we had the battle done, we went back to our post or fire bases or whatever it was, and then the enemy would come in and go right back in it.
And I think you hit the nail. You couldn't fight the war.
Exactly.
And this is where politics stinks. That's where the political thing. I'm not sitting in the presidential office, of course. I don't have no idea what they're seeing on the broad scale. But if you're going to put our men and women at arm's length, arm's way, well, I think you should support them. I don't know, it's just a commonary thing. Now, you have a lot of things happening in Schuylkill County. And once again, I'm honored to have the three of you on my show, really, and I'm glad you came up. But we have something September, so why don't you explain to the viewers what's happening September 22nd?
September 22nd is our candlelight visual. What we do is we read the names of the people from Pennsylvania that are missing, and we light a candle. And as the names are being read, you'll hear "Missing in Action, Ma'am." At the end, and usually the ladies read, our auxiliary reads the names, and you'll hear missing in action, ma'am. And you hear a bell toll, and they'll read the next name. And normally at veterans functions, as you well, like Memorial Day and all that, they do the final volley, they do the 21-gun salute. We don't do that, because it's not final. It won't be final until every one of those young men are accounted for. And that's how we feel about it. And as part of the program, you mentioned Jan Enders. Jan will be singing for us. We have, they do the national anthem and that type of thing. We talked briefly a little bit about the POW-MIA issue, but it's something we feel important, and we're going to continue to do it until either, God bless, we're not here, or we get accountability.
Well, whatever we can do to promote the cause, we're here. You also, on the Veterans Day, what do you do November 11th?
In November 11th, we go, and we're invited to Schuylkill Haven High School. Well, actually, all of Schuylkill Haven. We go to high school in the morning, and then they have an assembly, and they ask questions, and then we go to the middle school and to the elementary school, and they treat us like royalty. Mm-hmm. We have breakfast, and what's amazing is the younger ones. They make, like last year, they made medals for us. Oh, and it's just amazing. It makes you proud. I'm going to be honest. You pump up your chest, and you have that proud feeling.
That's fabulous. Now, does Booney behave that day?
Oh, he's our main man.
Who is the person that's in this list that was your buddy? What was his name?
James Anderson.
What, Anderson?
Anderson, yeah.
He'll be on the things. Folks, I'm talking to Vietnam veterans, and when you see them, thank them for what they've done, because believe me, it's. I know a lot of my friends. My uncle Frank Cameron was in the Korean War. When the war was on, and I know how devastated we were when he was there. Thank God he survived and he came back. But it's an honor, really. When you come back, folks, you have to stay tuned, because Janet Enders made a song, recorded a song, "Thank You Is Not Enough." We're going to play that song and show honor to some of these people who passed. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Honoring the Vietnam veterans, folks. POW-MIAs, where are they? These are people are continually to find out. There's over 2,000 still unaccounted for, 91 in the state of Pennsylvania. My guest today, Guy Wiederhold, who is a Vietnam veteran commander post of 29, Carl Booney Sterner, and John Belisa. Before we show you this video, folks, and it was recorded by Janet Enders. I listened to this at Jerry Enders' place, and it was absolutely fabulous. We're going to play this and pay honor to some of the people that passed. One of them is Booney's friend, Anderson. You said something about the three wars before we show this. What was it?
I said that World War II is considered the greatest generation, and they were. Korea was the forgotten generation because they weren't, and Vietnam is the get-her-done generation. Why I said that? We're the first ones to have a memorial in Washington, D.C. The second thing we did is we pushed the POW-MIA issue, which we're doing today, and we will do on Sunday. And most important thing is these young men and women that are fighting over there now are being welcomed home. There's people with flags waving, shaking their hands, saying thank you, and that's the most important thing we've done as a group.
And I think that's fantastic. Once again, Guy, Carl, and John, thank you so much. It was my honor having you on the show. We're there every day in your area covering it. We're not on Channel 7, it's 13 Comcast there. We're there for you anytime you have anything happening. We're there to promote it for you. Whatever we can do, we're there for you. I want to thank the three of you for what you've done for our country. And I'm hoping that your memorial, September 22nd, will be a tremendous success at 7 p.m. And it's at, where is it at?
It's at the Vietnam Veterans, Schuylkill County Vietnam Veterans Memorial on Route 61, right in front of Penn State University.
Now, folks, I want you to enjoy this, the music, and also special prayer, Mayor, for all these people that were missing. They certainly gave their lives up for us.
We see your uniform today. We want to speak, but walk away. We cannot find the words to say, because thank you is not enough. by the score live the endless hopelessness of war. Let me heal, you ask, and for nothing more. We know you've had it rough. That's why thank you is not enough. We know our freedom isn't free. The cost is paid by you for me, for this carefree life you've handed me. How will I repay in turn? I'll not squander what you've earned. Our hope is to see you through. For us war ends, but not for you. There are nightmares that you don't deserve. And how it must hurt for you to see the hardship on your family, yet still you say, I'm proud to serve. We think of you with gratitude. We'll spend our days in awe of you. May peace find every one of you. And though thank you is all we'll say to you, we know thank you is not enough. We know thank you